Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I love the work I get to do in this world. It doesn't feel like work. I'm in my 19th year of business. I can't believe I've been doing this full time for 19 years, the longest I've held any job ever. And my weeks are lovely. I have people that I mentor through soul mentoring, and some of them have been with me for years, and we meet once a week and bring in the angels and love and encourage them throughout their life. And if that's ever something that is of interest to you, let me know and we can talk about it. I also offer one-off sessions, angel sessions that happen over the phone. I don't do as many of those as I used to. I love doing them, but it's sort of a different muscle sometimes. And so there are times when I offer blocks of angel sessions because I'm feeling in the groove. And other times it's just upon request. So again, if you ever want your own angel session, just reach out, because more often than not, I have availability that's not reflected anywhere online. And then I'm known for my classes. I love facilitating groups and teaching, and I do this over Zoom, and most of my classes and groups are small. So typically not more than 8 people. So there is intimacy and an opportunity to receive support and meet other people in a way that's meaningful. And I absolutely love the groups and classes that I get to facilitate. And usually I have something new coming around every 6 weeks or so. In June, I already have 2 classes that will be coming up. And I absolutely love them. One of the classes, it'll maybe over with by the time you hear this, but it's called The Stories of Your Life. And we will be exploring cultivating and sharing our stories and our experiences. It's such a beautiful class, and in some ways it has inspired the way I share my stories here on the podcast. And then the other class I will be co-facilitating with my friend Andrea Scher is creating your own oracle deck, because both Andrea and I created each of our own oracle decks in 2023, and we will be helping you and whoever wants to take the class in creating your very own oracle deck. So again, when you listen to this episode, these classes may have already happened, but be assured there will be something new happening. So I invite you to visit me at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can sign up for my mailing list. I have 2 different lists you can sign up for. At the top of my page is my regular list where you'll get all of my announcements. And then further down on the page is the daily inspiration email blast. And you will receive an inspiring email from me every weekday. So lots of ways we can connect. But for now, the angels and I are here to create a sweet and sacred space where you can replenish, where we can keep you company, keep you amused, and perhaps even help you drift off to sleep if that is your intention. And it isn't lost on me that this podcast is sort of an odd mashup of angel time and then story time. And this is because I have a great affinity for sleep podcasts. I listen to one every night as I'm drifting off to sleep. I have about 8 of them I have in rotation, including this one. And I love the genre so much that I thought I would love to make a sleep podcast, and I wonder what mine would be. What would be my special flavor of this? And so I knew there had to be the angels, because that's really what I'm known for, is helping people connect with their angels. And I also knew I wanted to share stories, whether I would be reading something from the public domain or sharing experiences from my own life. One of my favorite sleep podcasts has been Sleep With Me with Drew Ackerman. And my favorite of his episodes are the ones where he shares snippets from his life. Halloween memories, or when he would go to Disneyland. And they would be just ordinary, wonderful stories that just felt like I was visiting with a friend. You know, if you meet a friend for lunch and you each just share, how have you been? What have you been up to? And you share the ordinary moments, because most of life is ordinary moments. It's not all highs and lows. It's all of the stuff in between. Like getting a really good parking space when you go to Costco on the weekend, These strange things that we all can relate to. And so over the years, this podcast has evolved into my own style. And so how it works is usually for about the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, I ramble a bit and I'll call in the angels and invite you into a sweet space filled with love for you. Some of you listen while you're awake, so while you're going about your day, and others of you do listen as you're going to sleep. So however this podcast supports you, I welcome you here. And then for about 40 minutes, I go into Storytime. And Storytime can be anything from stories of my life to reading things that are in the public domain, flipping through an old TV guide or a community cookbook. And so it's meant to be rambly and conversational without a lot of highs and lows, so that it is sort of a murmuring, mumbling, conversational tone that helps you drift off, because you don't have to stay riveted or pay attention. It's just a sweet, gentle conversation that you are invited into. So about these angels, they are divine messengers, and they're filled with love for you and me and everyone. And we can cultivate our awareness of the angels just by opening our hearts and knowing that they're there and allowing the love to come streaming in. And I experience this love viscerally, not every day, not every moment, but I've had enough experiences with this love to know that it's real. It exists. And when it flows through, there's a shift that happens. And I identify that shift as being healing. Not healing in that we'll get cured from some disease. That's not the kind of healing I'm speaking of, but healing in the ease of being, the ease of how we relate to our experiences and to ourselves and the world. That when divine love enters the room, it invites us forward into our greater hearts. And this is why I have built the foundation of my life around this work. And it's not that I live 24/7 in this place of grace. I don't know that that's the goal, because we are divine beings having human experiences, and the human experience is not to attain enlightenment. At least I haven't gotten that memo. Our human experience is to grow and learn and experience life. And life is life. Life is complicated. Life is challenging. Life is beautiful. Life is everything. And so I do have very human moments, days, weeks. I get upset and I get overwhelmed and I lose direction, just like you do. We all do. That's the human experience. We are mercurial beings. And sometimes we're in a really, really good space, and sometimes we're not. And sometimes we're in the place in between. Just like the weather. Sometimes the weather's wonderful and sometimes it's awful. So this divine love, when we connect with it, for me, it helps ease the burden. It helps lift that which isn't mine and that which I have outgrown or no longer need to embody. You know, it's interesting. I just took a pause there because I just had something come into my awareness that perhaps will be helpful, and in some ways, from my perspective, embodies this concept of divine love. A very common teaching on the spiritual path is the teaching of forgiveness, and these teachings come in many forms. I'm sure you've had your own experience of the concept of forgiveness. And as a channel, I have the blessing of bringing forward teachings and messages from the angels, and in my experience of channeling, not only am I receiving the message, I'm receiving the vibration and the love through which the message flows, which is truly extraordinary. And at some point I was teaching a class or doing an angel circle, I don't really remember, but the concept of forgiveness came up, and whatever the conversation was, what came about was we were talking about the reality that sometimes it is hard to bring ourselves into a state of forgiveness. And what the angels came in and said was, when you find it difficult to cultivate forgiveness in your own heart, we understand. And what you can do is ask us to hold the vibration of forgiveness on your behalf. Not that you require forgiveness, but if the forgiveness is for a circumstance or an event, that the angels can help plant the seeds of forgiveness. Forgiveness not in, I forgive you for, but forgiveness in that I am willing to release the chains of the judgments and the beliefs that I have built around this experience, so that I can be liberated and freed from it. And so the angels can come in and help us heal and move through and hold our experiences and consciousness differently. And for some reason, that is what I'm guided to share with you right now, is this idea that if there is something that you are dealing with that you feel like you can't come into forgiveness for or resolution about, you can ask the angels to hold that for you. They can pray on your behalf. They can support you. So this love is always here with you and for you. And my hope is, through this podcast, through what I post on social media, and through my offerings, I can help you come into relationship with this love that is absolutely here for you. And so I invite you to take a big breath in and out. And the angels are already here. And I'm also going to invite them in to join us so that you can participate in this as well. So beautiful angels on high, I invite you to infuse this broadcast with waves of love, gentleness, kindness, and goodness in service to each of our beloveds gathered with us now. I ask that you bring to them a sense of ease, a sense of deep, heartfelt belonging, that they are precious in this world, that they are a beloved of this universe. So dear ones, just take some nice deep breaths in and out. And I also ask the angels to help you awaken to the beauty of your authentic self, your true spirit, awakening to your gifts and abilities in ways that will delight you. That you are so much more than you know. You are a wonder. You are beautiful and powerful and filled with light. And it truly is our blessing to come together in this moment to honor you and help you remember who you are. And if you have prayers in your heart, if there's anything the angels can do to help and support you, I invite you to bring this into your heart now and let the angels know how they can best support you. If there are prayers you have for those you love, prayers for the world at large, prayers for yourself. You can always pray for yourself. It is not considered a selfish act. Divine love is like the sun. You would never think, I am not going to go out and warm myself in the sun because it's selfish. The sun is. It exists. So we invite you to also pray for yourself. Where could you use some extra support and love? And we'll just breathe together. Just feeling the divine light flowing to you now. Helping to clear from you anything that does not belong to you, anything that you need not carry. We'll just lift into the light. You know, it's not uncommon to pick up energy that is not ours. Sometimes we just do this through osmosis, and sometimes we do it consciously because there's this perception that if we can help someone else navigate their energy, that we help them. And it doesn't quite work that way, that each of us has to kind of move through our own journey. We can support each other, but we don't need to embody each other's energies. So this is why I always ask the angels to clear what isn't mine and what doesn't belong to me, to send it to the light. Because there are many, many ways to be of loving support and send love without having to embody the energy of others. So take a breath in, and we'll do some energetic clearing on all of us. You know, it's like Velcro. It picks up fuzz. We're going to de-fuzz ourselves. We're going to just allow ourselves to be cleared through the sweet, gentle light of God and the angels. To come into our wholeness, to come into the wisdom and the love that is the truth of you. And so just breathe and relax. And if you are getting ready for sleep, I invite you to cozy on up and snuggle on in and drift off when you're ready. And if this is your waking time, you'll stay awake and we'll move on into story time. And for story time, this is going to be one of our food-centric episodes. I love food. I love talking about it. It makes me happy. And this episode is inspired by the latest Trader Joe's frequent flyer. So, again, I have to give a shout out to Drew Ackerman's Sleep With Me podcast, because he was the one who started going through the Fearless flyers on his podcast. And I loved those episodes. And he doesn't really do them anymore. And I just think it's fun. And so, total shout out to Sleep With Me and Drew Ackerman. And I sort of add my own spin to this. And this is a very short, frequent flyer. So I also have an old community cookbook that we can flip through. So I don't know about you, but this takes me to a happy place within myself. And I love Trader Joe's. So I would imagine most of you know what Trader Joe's is. So for those of you who live outside of the United States, you may have heard of Trader Joe's through social media, but never been there. And it's a wonderful grocery store. And it's fairly unique in that probably about 90% of the products they sell are their house brand. So more often than not, they work with co-packers to come up with their own unique spin on things. So their chips, their hummus, their veggies, their cereals. Most of us who shop there regularly, we build up a relationship with certain products. And what's wonderful and challenging about it is if there is a national brand of something that you like, a brand of cereal, for instance, Raisin Bran, let's say, Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Well, you can go to just about any store and buy that, and it's been available for decades, and in all likelihood isn't going away anytime soon, so you can feel confident in your ability to find your favorite form of cereal from any one of half a dozen markets. Trader Joe's, though, they have limited shelf space, and they frequently change their inventory. So it is not unusual to fall in love with one of their products only to have it be discontinued. And there's a Trader Joe's subreddit, and there's always a discontinued thread of people in grieving and waxing poetic about Trader Joe's products that have gone away. And there really are no substitutes for it. So on my list of discontinued Trader Joe items that I haven't quite gotten over is one I have shared with you before, their Jumbo Raisin Medley. Now, I know either people like raisins or hate raisins, and you may have never heard anybody wax poetic about raisins before, and that would likely be because you never had had Trader Joe's Jumbo Raisin Medley before, which up-leveled raisins to a whole new ballgame. These were not your dried out tiny little raisins you might get in a snack box as a kid. These were these plump, juicy raisins. They were big, and there were three kinds. There were the black raisins and the golden raisins and the red raisins. Like there were red raisins from red grapes, I assume. And they were in the Trader Joe's store for years and years. And my husband and I both loved them. And my husband liked the golden ones So he would pick those out of the bag and I would eat the other ones. And even our cat got into the action because I don't know if you've ever had a cat that likes to chew plastic. Ours did. And so when we would have the bag of raisins between us on the couch, at some point, the cat would come over and chomp on the bag. So it was not unusual for our bag of raisins to have cat teeth marks on them, which we kind of found adorable. But alas, at some point during the pandemic, the raisins went away. And there was no viable substitute for them. Right? It's not like Raisin Bran where there's a lot of different raisin brands. There were no other raisins like these. And I finally tracked down a fruit manufacturer in Fresno, California, the raisin capital of the world, I believe. Or that may have just been a joke on a Carol Burnett show. I don't know. And I think they must have been the co-packer for these raisins, so I buy my raisins from them. I mail order raisins. I don't think they're as good. Now, this just might be my memory playing games, but Wes also concurs. These are not as good as the Trader Joe raisins, and it may be that the Trader Joe raisins were so good because they were so fresh, because they were manufacturing such a high quantity to keep up with demand. So, one of the discontinued items that I still grieve over, another one that people are very upset about, is they used to have this amazing chocolate Belgian pudding that went away a couple years ago. It was so good. It tasted like a really delicious, refined dessert. And it had been on the shelves for years, and then it went away. And the one that everyone is talking about right now is, for the past few years, for the summer, Trader Joe's would come out with a bag of chips that was assorted, and it was called the backyard patio chips. And it had salt and pepper chips, ketchup chips, and barbecue chips and dill pickle chips, I think. I think there were 4 kinds of chips. So it was a bag of joy. Like you would reach in and you wouldn't know what chip you were getting. It was delightful. And sadly, the factory that made them, which also makes their own chips, had a fire. And so they have to rebuild the factory. And so, alas, I mean, that's tragic on many, many levels. And there will be no patio chips this year. And people are so sad about that because you get used to these foods from Trader Joe's. So some of the things that I love that I get every week from Trader Joe's is I get our dairy products from Trader Joe's. I get my veggies for salad at Trader Joe's. They always have a great selection of fresh veggies and chopped veggies and fantastic stuff. I get cereal and chips. I'm a big chip girl, and they have these low-fat kettle chips that don't have as much salt as regular chips that I love. They come in the blue bag. So if you're at Trader Joe's, they're in the blue bag. And God bless Wes, because when I open a bag of them, he goes to eat some and he's so disappointed because they have no salt. But they're salty enough for me. And he eats them anyways, but he's not enjoying them very much. But we also get the crunchy, like Cheetos, but they're not Cheetos. They're Trader Joe's house brand that he loves. So we get those as well. I did get the kimbap. They had some kimbap in stock, which are the Korean sushi, but it has no fish. They're so good. But they're rolls with seaweed and rice and tofu and vegetables, and they're in the freezer. And then you take them out and you cut off the corner and you put them in the microwave for about 90 seconds. They're delicious. And I get fruit there and other things. So I go to Trader Joe's every week. I love my time with Trader Joe's. And they also, every few months, publish their Fearless Flyer. And this is the one for May 2024. So I thought we could dive in and see what some of the products are that are coming to Trader Joe's shelves, and they're probably here already. So the first one that they have is their strawberries and cream pancake and waffle mix. Now, I'm not a pancake and waffle girl, so I don't ever make them at home. When I used to eat out in restaurants, which I don't do anymore, and I was going for breakfast, I might order some pancakes or French toast, but they're not necessarily my food that I would go to. But I did just see somebody talking about these on TikTok, and apparently they have like freeze-dried strawberries in them and white chocolate. So that sounds pretty good, right? So it says here, the mix of the pancake mix, the strawberries and cream pancake and waffle mix, is replete with sweetened dried strawberry pieces, exuding the bright, bold flavor of this iconic berry. And I just have to say, I love how they write these Fearless Flyers. And the addition of white chocolatey chips lends a pleasantly sweet, creamy counterpoint. I just think that sounds delicious. I will not be getting them because I don't make pancakes, but perhaps you do. So let me know if you get them and if you like them. The next thing is also something many, many people love and look forward to, which are their s'more clusters. Now, I don't buy these because, say it with me, I know if you listen, you know that I don't eat sugar. So, and I've never been a s'mores person. They've always been too sweet for me. Now, I'll eat them, just so we're clear. Hand me a s'more back in the day and I would eat it, but it wouldn't be my favorite thing. I would much rather just have the chocolate and a graham cracker than the whole s'more concoction. I will also say I believe I had my first s'more as a child at summer camp. And back then, we would roast our marshmallows on a stick. Because who cared about dirt? We didn't care. We drank out of hoses. So you'd find a good stick, and you would put your marshmallows on the stick. And then it was the art of roasting the marshmallow. Now, I didn't mind when my marshmallow caught on fire because I liked the charred bits. It didn't bother me. Because typically I did not have the patience to wait for a perfectly toasted marshmallow because that truly is an art form. So at some point, it would not be unusual for me to just catch the thing on fire and rush to the s'more part of the journey with the Hershey's chocolate and the Nabisco graham cracker. Again, being at summer camp and sitting around the fire, it was not easy to wash your hands. And we're kids, so it would be a sticky, gooey mess from which we would not recover for quite a while. So, the hands would get dirty and you'd still be trying to lick off the marshmallows. It was a whole childhood experience. Then at some point in the, 90s or early 2000s, s'mores had a resurgence at restaurants where they would bring out these little braziers, where you could toast your marshmallows at the table. Never did that. Again, s'mores would not be my dessert of choice. I'd rather have chocolate cake. So these s'more clusters, they're like little candy clusters that have, I'll read instead of me trying to describe them. Each cluster is made with a base of crispy graham cracker pieces, which are mixed with mini marshmallows. The smaller bits make for a more randomly shaped morsel and then coated in smooth milk chocolate. And so the TikTok I was watching this morning, they were so excited that these were back in stock. So people wait all year for the s'mores clusters. Again, even if I was still eating sugar and chocolate, I would not buy these. These would not be my candy of choice. I would prefer to have like peanut butter cups or something, or M&Ms. So this would not be my go-to, but perhaps it is for you. They also have organic strawberry lemonade. Now, somewhere in the 90s maybe, something happened with my stomach, and I no longer could tolerate sour things. So as a child, I loved lemonade and would have loved strawberry lemonade or limeade or any of those kinds of concoctions. But I no longer can handle tart anything. So this doesn't even sound good to me, but maybe it does for you. And their lemonade is supposed to be really fantastic. So, strawberry lemonade, now appearing at a Trader Joe's near you. And I should also tell you that Trader Joe's also carries a few beauty products and vitamins and stuff. So the next thing that is in the frequent flyer is their SPF 40 daily facial sunscreen, only $8.99. So I did buy this last year. It's still sitting in my medicine cabinet. I rarely wear sunscreen because I'm rarely in the sun. So it's there if I need it. They also have an organic coleslaw kit, which sounds good. I love a good coleslaw, and I love to put coleslaw on my sandwiches. So just as an aside, if there's ever a deli tray with coleslaw and rye bread, you will see coleslaw on my sandwich for sure. So, I don't know, I might get this. I love to make big salads with lots of stuff in it. And so putting some coleslaw in a salad with other things sounds really good to me. They also have dill pickle mustard. Now, as far as condiments go, I'm not a mustard girl. I will have honey mustard dressing on something. Wes loves a lot of mustard on his sandwiches. So when I make sandwiches for him, because I like to nurture him because he's awesome, I'm always confused about how much mustard should go on a sandwich because I do not like mustard. So I always put more than I would want because he really likes his mustard on his sandwiches. Just, a little insight. So dill pickle mustard, nothing about it sounds good to me, but perhaps you love mustard and you love dill pickles and you are enchanted about this idea of a dill pickle mustard, because I would imagine if you like mustard and you like dill pickles, this would be fantastic on a burger or hot dog, vegan or otherwise. It'd be delicious if that was your thing. And since it's not, we'll move on. Meaning it's not my thing. I have shared everything I possibly can share with you about mustard at this point. So we'll keep going. Then they do now move on to the Trader Joe's kosher dill pickle chips. Now, I do like pickles. I don't love pickles. Like, pickles are having a whole renaissance right now, a whole resurgence. And I don't ever eat enough pickles to warrant buying a jar of pickles. Wes isn't interested. I do occasionally like a pickle on a sandwich. I'll tell you what I would buy, though, for sure, is if someone would please start carrying new pickles. So, you may not know what a new pickle is. So, when they're making pickles, the cucumbers have to stay in the brine for a certain amount of time while they ferment and they become dill pickles. A new pickle gets taken out of the brine early in the process. So it's not as salty. It's much more crispy and garlicky and delicious. So growing up in Skokie, and then living in Los Angeles, where there was always proximity of phenomenal Jewish deli, I could always get a new pickle, which just really is heavenly. Now that I live in the Bay Area, not so much. There are pickle companies that will ship new pickles, But honestly, what am I going to do with $40 worth of new pickles? Like, it's just, that'd be a little, like, I already mail order raisins. I don't know that I can bring myself to mail order new pickles. I might someday, though. Who knows? I have tried making them. They were mediocre at best, but I suppose a mediocre new pickle is better than no new pickles at all. And now we're going to move on because I've said the word pickle way too much. Okay, on to the next. Little gem lettuce. So little tiny things of lettuce, I guess, are supposed to be delightful. I don't particularly care. They have brioche buns, hot dog buns, and do they have hamburger buns? They just say brioche buns. So it says brioche buns and brioche hot dog buns. They also have gluten-free hamburger buns. So listen, everyone's covered here. And I typically am not going to buy those. But that's just me. Okay, they now have organic mango chutney and mini vegetable samosas. So they have great frozen foods. I didn't mention that. At Trader Joe's, they are known for their frozen foods. So you can get these mini vegetable samosas. Now, I love samosas, but I typically don't buy Trader Joe's Indian food because it tends to be a little bit too spicy for me. But I would imagine those are delicious. They have teeny tiny avocados. So it's a little mesh bag of very small avocados because you can't always eat a whole avocado at once. So I guess that avoids that issue. They have something called a spicy peanutty noodle bowl with chicken, which really sounds wonderful except for the spicy part. But they do have an amazing peanut Chinese chicken salad kind of thing that's delicious that I get every once in a blue moon, especially if we're traveling and we might have a kitchen wherever we're staying. I might get that for a meal. I just had that last week and it was delicious and delightful. Not the spicy peanutty noodle bowl, but the other peanutty salad thing. Delightful. They are also known for their candy and their gummies. So this is Life's a Beach, Eat a Gummy Candy with Trader Joe's Beach Day Gummy Candy. Inside each eye-catchingly beachy bag, who doesn't want a beachy bag, you'll find a cadre of colorful, I love how they write this, you'll find a cadre of colorful fruit-flavored gummy candy in seaside-inspired shapes, namely palm trees, starfish, conch shells, crabs, and sunglasses. So these get their hues from fruit juice, veggie juice, and spirulina extract, not synthetic food dye. And they're vegan, so they're not made with the use of animal gelatin. So they're vegetarian friendly. They don't say that they're vegan though. But still, if that matters to you, perhaps this would be a candy of choice. They also have gluten-free, vegan, cheddar-style savory squares. So I guess those are like the cheese crackers, but they've made them vegan and gluten-free, which if those things were important to you, I would imagine these will be absolutely delightful. They also have cowboy caviar, which is sort of like a salsa of sorts, I think. I don't know that I've ever had this. It comes in a jar. I've seen it for sure. They call it a legendary cult classic condiment developed in the 1930s. It includes black-eyed peas and pickled onions. They've included yellow corn, black beans, red bell peppers, onions, and jalapenos. These legumes and veggies are pickled with chipotle peppers and lime juice and a tangy adobo sauce that includes vinegar, tomato puree, onion, garlic, and savory spices. So, for me, as I read through this list of ingredients, almost nothing sounds good to me because it involves a lot of spicy things, which immediately I'm like, yeah, that's not for me. But maybe for you, you're like, that sounds like the most delicious thing ever. So I share it with you. And then they have the organic corn chip dippers, which are like big fat Fritos. Interesting aside about Fritos. So our house growing up, definitely had a diet mentality. I was a chubby little girl. My mom was always watching her weight. And so typically she made food choices that were dietetic friendly. Now, my sister was thin and she was a picky eater. My brother would eat just about anything and his weight was fine. But my mom would not necessarily bring in foods that would have great appeal in terms of snackability. That would be fattening, because that's the word that we used back then. It's fattening. Oh, it was such a dark time. Not really. It really was not a dark time. I just mean when I think about the diet culture back then. So what does this have to do with the organic corn chip dippers from Trader Joe's, which did not exist at the time? My sister liked Fritos. My sister was a picky eater. She did not like many things. She liked hot dogs. She liked Raggedy Ann corn. She liked Fritos and some other things. So my mom would get Fritos for my sister. I didn't really care about Fritos. I would rather have potato chips or chocolate. So I didn't really eat Fritos, and I knew Fritos were for my sister. So I have this memory of Fritos, and I would eat a couple, but they weren't my chip of choice. So when I see these at Trader Joe's, I always think of my sister and her love of Fritos back in the day. The other chip my mom would get were the shoestring potatoes in the can. I don't know if anybody else remembers this. They were like made the way potato chips are made, but they were the string little sticks, potato sticks. And they were called shoestring potatoes. So they were like little fried potato sticks. And they came in a can. My brother loved those. So if my mom ever got the shoestring potatoes in the can, they would be gone very quickly. So I would have to get in and have my share of them before they were finished off. I'm sure everybody who has siblings has those stories, right? Of competing for the favorite foods. So they do have the Trader Joe's organic corn chip dippers. And they're delicious. I've had them before. And they're very dippable, whether in salsa or hummus or this cowboy caviar that I'm not going to be eating, but perhaps you will. And you know, I'm looking at how much time has elapsed, and I still have several pages of the Trader Joe's frequent flyer. I didn't know why. I didn't think this would take up the whole story time, so we are likely not going to get to the community cookbook, but hey, there's going to be more episodes, and I'll share it with you then. So this will be an all Trader Joe's frequent flyer episode, which is super cool. I don't know why I just said that. Okay, next up are strawberry overnight oats. So overnight oats became a thing, right? And I make my own. So this is how I make my overnight oats. I take a cup of Trader Joe's oats, rolled oats, and I put in 2 tablespoons of chia seeds. And then I put in a bunch of raisins, because we've already talked about my love of raisins. And the great thing about raisins, when you put them in liquid, they get plumper. And I like that. So I put in raisins, and then I put in some sugar-free Jell-O pudding powder. I usually put in like a half a tablespoon of the vanilla and then a half a tablespoon of the pistachio, just the powder. And then I put in some honey, and then I put in milk, and I usually use the Fairlife milk because it has a little more protein in it. And then I also put in some cashew milk. Why all of that, I don't know, but it's the concoction I figured out that I love. And I typically make a good sized bowl of it, and then I eat on it for a week. So it's not a whole meal for me. It's, a couple spoonfuls in between something else in between meals, when I'm wanting a little something. So I like my own overnight oats. I typically don't get store-bought oats because I like mine better, but these are probably delicious. And then they also have a Danish, so it says Danish princess pastry fit for royalty. Now, since I do not eat sugar anymore, I do not eat Danish, but let me tell you, I love a good Danish back in the day. The Danish stories I could share with you. I remember when I used to commute from Skokie to downtown Chicago, I would get on the Howard L. That was the train. And right before you went upstairs to where the train was, there was a pastry shop that had so many delicious Danish. They had bear claws and cheese turnovers, like so many good things. And I would always get like 2 Danish for myself and eat them on the way into the city back in the day when I was younger and I did such things. But let's hear about this particular Danish. So this princess pastry is made for us in Denmark. Great place for a Danish pastry, constructed of classic tender pastry dough, cradling a creamy custard-style persipan infused filling. Fun fact, persipan, which I hope I am pronouncing correctly because it kind of reminds me of marzipan, so persipan, perhaps mispronounced, is an aromatic confectionery ingredient used in baking. And as you might guess, akin to marzipan. I'm so proud of my culinary prowess here, but made with apricot kernels instead of almonds. And I love marzipan, anything. I love that. Okay. Rather than a single serve round, this Danish is formed into an easy-to-slice rectangle that can easily feed a crowd, or perhaps just one hungry person in the middle of the night. So it sounds phenomenal, and it's $4.99. And then they have mango black tea. I've never gotten excited about tea, ever. I'll drink it, I'll buy it, but I would never get excited about it. But that's just me. Then they have light and zesty lemon herb macaroni salad. Again, lemon is not my flavor profile, so this does not sound good to me, but perhaps it would to you. It's sort of tangy because it has lemon in it. And it says the herb component is distinctly dill forward. So dill and lemon, I'm sure it's delightful if those are your flavors. And then they have marvelous, majestic, magnificauce. I have heard that people love this. It's sort of like secret sauce that you would get from a hamburger chain. So it's a mustard, mayo, ketchup, relish kind of spread, with a nice vinegary tang and a subtle infusion of spices, including dried garlic, dried onion, and paprika. I don't use enough condiments to make that worth my while, so it's not something I would buy, but perhaps you would if you barbecue a lot and make those kinds of things. They also have everything but the bagel cheddar cheese. Now, when Trader Joe's came out with their everything but the bagel seasoning, that was a revolutionary move. Having grown up eating bagels, I love the flavor profile of everything but the bagel. And so when they came out with the condiment of everything but the bagel, it was life-changing. I put that stuff on, well, not everything. I didn't put it on fruit, but, to have toast with the everything but the bagel seasoning on top of it, oh, I'm a happy girl. So they now have that in cheddar cheese. But that doesn't sound good to me. So I will not be buying that again on other episodes I have shared with you my conundrum about cheese, that I love cheese, but I'm the only one who eats it, and I don't eat enough of it to warrant buying a big block. So typically I go to Whole Foods, and they have this little bucket out in Napa in their cheese counter where they put little odds and ends of cheese in there. So I can buy a little bit of cheese, which then delights me. So I will not be getting this particular everything but the bagel cheddar cheese. And also I should probably say cheddar cheese is not really the cheese that I love. I'll eat it. It's fine. But I don't love it the way I love other cheese. So there you go. My soliloquy about cheese for this episode. I should also let you know that Trader Joe's is known for their wine and beer, and well, mostly their wine, but I don't drink. And so I just skip right over those pages, but I just did skip past a few pages of that. So if you happen to pick up the Fearless Flyer, you might want to read that for yourself. They have something called guaca salsa, which is a phenomenal name. And so apparently it's just what it says it is. It is guacamole. Here, I should just read what they say rather than me trying to figure it out. This tangy, tantalizing take on a classic salsa de guate, am I pronouncing that right? Is made with a base of tart tomatillos and creamy avocados, to which our supplier adds jalapenos for spice, cilantro for aromatic herbiness, garlic puree for a savory edge, and a touch of lime to keep everything in balance. Doesn't sound good to me, but that may be your flavor profile. They also have, in the frozen food section, Japanese-style fried rice, which I think I have bought at some point and never made. I'm notorious for buying freezer foods and not making them and throwing them out a year later because they have freezer burn. I'm not proud of that. And so I really do my best not to buy these frozen foods that look so good at Trader Joe's, because inevitably I don't make them. And then I feel so badly when I finally get to the back of the freezer and realize they've been sitting there for too long. Because I don't know what your freezer organization skills are like. Mine are horrible. Basically, I put something in the freezer, and then I put something else in the freezer, and I push whatever was in the freezer first to the back. So it becomes like a messy closet where whatever is the newest just pushes whatever's the oldest back. There's no rotational strategy for me in our freezer. And so it really becomes a shambles in there, and I just keep trying to push stuff to the back so I can fit more stuff in. It's not as dramatic as it sounds. I'm just saying I do not have good freezer organization skills. So when I buy these frozen foods from Trader Joe's, I'm excited and they're at the front of the freezer, but at some point I get other stuff that goes in the freezer and it pushes back. And I never am interested enough to see what is at the back of my freezer. And now that I'm talking to you about this, I realize I have a Lou Malnati's spinach pizza in the back of my freezer right now that I have entirely forgotten about, which horrifies me because it is a Lou Malnati's pizza, which is from Chicago, which now probably has pizza burn, but I will not throw that thing out. So this weekend I am intending to make this pizza for Wes and I, and it will be good because even a freezer burned Lou Malnati's frozen pizza is going to be awesome. So thank you, Trader Joe's frequent flyer, in this conversation about my terrible freezer organizing skills for reminding me about that Lou Malnati's pizza. We're totally going to have that this weekend. But wait, there's more. We're not even at the end yet. They've got strawberry yogurt flavored almonds. Even when I was eating sugar, this would not have been my thing. I am not necessarily drawn to things with fruit profiles other than fruit. I love fruit, but if I'm going to eat some sort of confectionery covered almond, it will be a chocolate covered almond. A strawberry yogurt covered almond, why? Why would I waste the calories on that? Now, if you love fruit flavored things, you might think this is the best thing ever. So this is why we need a variety in life. They also have a peaches and cream cheese spread. Now that sounds kind of lovely. You've got a bagel and you put some peaches and cream cheese spread on it. So here's the thing with something like this. If I was at a brunch and they had this on the table, I would take a little bit of it because I'd want to try it and I'd probably love it. I do not want a whole container of it because I'm the only one who eats cream cheese in our house. And I for sure would not, I can't even imagine eating a whole container of this. And if I liked it that much, I would be in trouble. If I go through a whole container of peaches and cream cheese spread because I love it, I would probably be in trouble. So we're not going to get that. They have fresh cut pineapple, which I can't eat pineapple anymore. It makes me very sick, so I will be skipping on that. They've got lemon ginger cheesecake, which I'm sure could be delightful. Not my jam, but I just want you to know that it exists in case it sounds delicious to you. They have organic English cucumbers. I will say at Trader Joe's, I get the mini Persian cucumbers for my salad, and I am a fan. This one has intrigued me, but I have not been interested in buying it. A peck of piquant popcorn. So Piquant, piquant popcorn. So it's a peculiar mix of savory seasonings. Inside each bag, the supplier has dusted light, fluffy butterfly popcorn with a blend of onion powder, garlic powder, sea salt, and nutritional yeast, which tastes kind of cheesy. That was me saying that, not them. Which gives each piece a rich, tangy, and faintly cheesy flavor. Well, you know what? That does kind of sound good. But I love popcorn, but it annoys me because it gets stuck in my teeth. So, I don't know. I have it in the house and then I don't eat it. So we're running a bit over. I can't believe how much rich material is in this frequent flyer. So I'm going to kind of rush through the end. We've got fudgy cookie dough ice cream. I'm sure it's amazing. They have vanilla cookie thins, and I would imagine it would be amazing if you dipped the cookie thins into the fudgy cookie dough ice cream. What would be not to love about that? And then on the back page, they're talking about their raw almonds. You can get 1 pound for $3.99. I think that's a really good price. They have a new passion fruit granola. I don't even really know what the flavor profile is for passion fruit, so I don't know. It's not something I would get. And then they have key lime tea cookies, which actually sound lovely, but again, I won't be getting them, but it sounds kind of good. So that's it, you guys. We got through the May Trader Joe's frequent flyer. And now we have a community cookbook that I was going to read today, but we didn't get to for another episode. So lots of good stuff. So here's to Trader Joe's, which I will be going to either today or tomorrow for my weekly TJ's run. Those of us that are good friends with Trader Joe's, TJ's, we're kind of on a nickname basis. And I will probably go to the one up in Napa because then I can stop at the Whole Foods in Napa. It's a whole strategy about which Trader Joe's do I go to. If I go to the one in Fairfield, then I also do the Fairfield rotation. But there's no Whole Foods up there. So if I want Whole Foods, I go to Napa and do my Trader Joe's shopping there. So, little inside peek to my life. So, my sweet friends, thank you for allowing me to keep you company. I'm sending you so much love and blessings and goodness. I wish you the sweetest of dreams. And I look forward to connecting with you again soon. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.